took a minute of opportunity between two meetings to cut some onions for dinner, and it's like affecting my yeah.
All right, let's just give it another minute or so. Want to make sure we have everything up and running. All right, we are at 5:33. Sort of our customary start time. So I'll just kick off and welcome folks to our December 2023 meeting of the Voter Assistance Advisory Committee. Before kind of giving our sort of opening statements, I'll just kind of do a few kind of accessibility checks for folks. I'll start by saying hi. My name is Eric Friedman. I am Assistant Executive Director for Public Affairs at the Campaign Finance Board. I use he, him pronouns. I'll start with a short visual description that will ask folks who follow and come to speak, just provide for folks to help enhance their accessibility of tonight's proceedings. So I'm a white male of middle age, with graying hair. I keep it short. I'm wearing a white and blue button-down shirt with a pullover sweater, and I have a blurred background behind me. Sitting here at home, and I'll just say it's best we keep that blurred for the viewing public. With that, I'll just a few kind of other quick notes about the Zoom platform. For folks who are looking for interpretation of tonight's proceedings, there is a button down at the bottom of your Zoom window labeled interpretation, where you can access, should be able to access Spanish interpretation. If you're looking for closed captioning, if you down at the bottom of your window, if you see a sort of a little symbol with three dots with the word more under it, that should be able to get you to show the captions as you follow along with the hearing. With that, I will look to Amy Loprest, who's the Interim Executive Director of the CFB, just to kick things off and with some welcoming remarks.
Okay. Well, as Eric said, I'm Amy Loprest. I'm the Interim Executive Director of the New York City Campaign Finance Board. I use she, her pronouns. I am a white woman who is bald, and although I don't believe you can see it, I am wearing a purple turtleneck sweater, and I am sitting in my home office with behind me a bookcase and a yellow background. So greetings to everyone. Welcome to the New York City Voter Assistance Advisory Committee's post-election hearing. At this hearing, we will be hearing from members of the public and other stakeholders. They will have given them an opportunity to speak about their experiences in the November 2023 general elections. Members of the public will also have the opportunity to ask questions and air concerns that they may have, including about the voting information provided by NYC Votes and the Campaign Finance Board. Just as a word of explanation, NYC Votes is the voter engagement initiative of the New York City Campaign Finance Board, and we are responsible for sending you the voter guide that you should have received in the mail before the November 2023 election. And with that, I will turn it back over to Eric Friedman, who will be our moderator for tonight. You are muted, Eric.
Thank you, Amy. No, that is my one my quota for tonight for forgetting to come off mute. I hopefully will not forget to do that again. I'll have a few brief overview remarks about the election that we all hopefully all took part in last month. And I want to look to members of the committee who've joined us tonight, to give brief welcome remarks if they choose. But just again, this year's election was I don't want to say unique, but this sort of election only kind of comes around once every 20 years. We due to redistricting, which takes place after every 10 years after the census. Council members who are elected this year, they serve 2-year terms, to serve representing those new districts that were drawn at the citywide level. And those full 4-year terms resume again after those 2025 council elections coming up in 2 years. So, the elections last year didn't have any candidates at the citywide level running. So it makes it rather difficult to compare levels of voter turnout that we kind of saw in last month's election to those in recent years. Suffice it to say that there's still plenty of work to do to engage more New Yorkers in our local elections. I'll say that a full and final account of voter behavior in the 2023 elections is going to be available in our upcoming voter analysis report, which we publish annually and is released at the end of April. And you'll see that covering this year's elections in April of 2024. And the policy and research team working on that is doing some great work to kind of reach back and make sure that we are putting this election in context and looking at kind of how some of these redistricting elections have worked in the past. I will say that the staff at the CFB and in the Public Affairs Division did its customary, really just amazing job of working all across the city to engage New Yorkers, New York City voters through on-the-ground interactions through a digital ad campaign that reached over 3 million unique New York City voters. That campaign ended, with about 45 million impressions across digital channels, which is significantly more than we had originally projected. Means we're getting good value for the money we're investing in that. Really importantly, I just want to point out a lot of those, more than 40%, were in languages other than English, which is a huge jump compared to what we've done in previous elections. More than doubled in a couple of instances. This really, I think, is a hallmark of a lot of the work the focus that we've brought in the last couple of elections to really building a much more robust language access program. I want to give a special shout out to Santiago Torres, our who leads that team. Working with his colleagues, we published the voter guide this year in 14 languages, for the primary and general elections, which is, Amy mentioned the voter guide earlier, which is an enormous undertaking. I'll give credit to Crystal Choi, Director of Product Management and Operations, who leads that project and has really, we've really made great strides, in complying with law passed at the end of 2021 by the City Council to really expand and broaden our language access offerings. Our partnerships and outreach team, led by Omar Suarez, held dozens of events in person all over the city, many of them in language for voters whose primary language is not English. A lot of virtual text banks with our volunteers reached over 500,000 voters in the run-up the general election via those volunteer text banks, registered hundreds of new voters at high visibility events all over the city in those neighborhoods that we've been prioritizing. So again, just want to take a few minutes, though. Again, as I noted, and I think what the results of those that turnout analysis, when it's complete, is going to again remind us that there's a lot of work still to be done. We've got a lot to build on. And with a really crucial election year coming up, the team is taking a few moments to gather itself and look towards the work ahead. So I just want to, again, as we hear from folks to talk about their experiences in this year's election, just want to make sure I'm recognizing the work our team has put in around this election and to sort of set the stage for this conversation. With that, I'm going to pause. I want to look to, I see Chris, I see Danielle, I see Farine from the Public Advocates Office. Would love to welcome you guys in and ask if you've got remarks you'd like to share with folks as we get started. Chris, you want to look to you first?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. I am Christopher Malone. I am a middle-aged white male with graying hair, similar to Eric's. I am wearing a gray turtleneck, and I have a virtual background, which is largely forest green. It's the insignia of the university that I work at as Associate Provost. It's Farmingdale State College on Long Island. I'm a political scientist by training, and I was appointed to this committee by Mayor de Blasio in the spring of 2020. I'll just say, on top of what Eric, the impressive record that Eric laid out in terms of the work that the Campaign Finance Board and NYC Votes has done. This next year we have a presidential, then after we have another local. I could be wrong, Eric, but this might be the first time forever or in a long time where we've had an election every year for 5 straight years. I mean, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25, whether it's state, local, state, or national. And, for voters in New York City or anywhere who were asked to vote 5 straight years, you could really succumb to voter fatigue. So don't. That's my message is, it's so important to participate, but given that we've gone through so many years of special elections or redistricting, it's even more important that people remain engaged. So kind of think of this as running a marathon. You just keep voting year after year and you get better at it. So that's my message, is to just keep voting. Keep voting. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Chris. I will say that is a kind of an artifact of these redistricting elections, right? I think that we've kind of experienced the same in that, 01, 02, 03, 04, 05, and agree with your thoughts and comments there for sure. Danielle, I see your hand raised. Would you like to say hello?
No, I just wanted to say that the work that the VAAC is doing is just more important than ever. I mean, it's not. I mean, we always say, well, this next year is the most critical year, but it really is. And so, thanks again to you all and Amanda and everybody who's just working so hard on making this go, and faced with voter fatigue as well. So I think that just underscores how important the work the VAAC does, how important the work the VAAC does is.
Thanks, Danielle, and thanks, and I think thank you again. I did not credit by name Amanda Malillo, who's our Deputy Director of Public Affairs. I want to also make sure I recognize Alyssa Guzman, who's our Director of Marketing and Digital Communications, who leads that ad campaign I mentioned. Ali Swatek, our Director of Policy and Research, whose team is responsible for that voter analysis report I mentioned. Really just, I think, again, a remarkable group. And I want to make sure they're all, recognized for those results that you spoke about, Danielle. Farine, I see you on screen. You want to say hello?
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can.
Perfect, because I'm in the train station. So yes, Farine Griffith, Officer of the New York City Public Advocate. Yes, always thankful for the VAAC and thankful for the work that Campaign Finance does. I'm sorry, description. I am a light-skinned African-American woman. I have on a camel cashmere knit hat and a camel down coat with a hood, standing in front of subway tiles in the subway. Yes, so I yes, grateful for the work that campaign finance does, the education side with NYC Votes. And not only, I just wanted to point out, not only are they doing the work outside to voters that we can engage with, they're also doing it on Rikers Island with the coalition for voting in New York City jail. So you're doing great work. The coalition, we're making progress, strides, registering people to vote, making sure that the absentee ballots are getting picked up. They're putting in the education component. So things is moving on along. I'm excited to see what we do for 2024 in partnership. And we at the Office of the Public Advocate, specifically me, always look forward to working and partnering with CFB and NYC Votes. Thank you.
Brian, thank you. And thank you for calling out that work that we're doing with DOC on Rikers Island through Omar's team and with his staff. Gauri Patel, who leads our partnerships team, and Luke, who kind of leads some of that work that you're talking about with Department of Corrections. Just really, I appreciate you calling attention to that. Look forward to your partnership through this year. We've got coming up now 4 elections in calendar year 2024, with the special election coming up in February in Congressional District 3. So, folks, all those folks I mentioned have a little bit of time to rest, but got to pick right back up and get at it early in this year to come. And look forward to everyone who's with us shoulder to shoulder in that effort. So now we are at the portion of the meeting and kind of get to what we came to do, which is hear from some members of the public to talk about their experience in this past year's elections. And we will, as always, kind of take what we hear and kind of reflect it back up, as we kind of look for ways and to recommend sort of improvements in administration or in the law that might make elections be more accessible, more participatory, going forward. We've seen a lot of change over the past several years, but one of the great opportunities we have this time in this place is to continue striving to make elections work better. So we have folks who've signed up to testify. What I will do is I'll call a few names. If you are here as an attendee, when we're ready to welcome you up to testify, you'll be kind of switched to as a panelist. So I'll call out the name of the person we're bringing up, and then of the next person we have on the list, so you can get ready. So with that, I'm going to start working my way down our list. So our first name we have signed up to testify is Ariel Merkel, and I think I saw you here in the attendee list. We'll give a second for you to be moved onto the panel. Catherine Gao is our next name, and we want you to be ready to come up next.
I was waiting for Ariel to accept the promotion to panelist.
Okay, let's give it a minute. If she stepped away, we can move on and come back to her. Give it one more. All right, so Catherine, if you're there and you're ready, maybe we'll start with. Did we? Yes, no, okay. Here we are. All right. Ariel,
Hi,
are you there?
Hi, I just want to clarify, I never signed up to testify. I'm here to listen. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of the work that the Board of Elections does also for putting on the ballot, creating the ballot, creating the poll sites, training the poll workers. So I'll take this opportunity to say thank you to my agency and all the hard work. I know that there is a lot of accolades going on, but I never signed up to testify per se. I was just here as an observer, but I'm happy to have this opportunity to thank the agency of the Board of Elections. And at that, I'm just going to go back to listening. Thank you.
Awesome. Ariel, thank you. And apologize if we got those lists crossed, but thank you for taking the time to be here. And thank you for calling out our colleagues at BOE who, do the oftentimes thankless work, right, of printing those ballots and staffing the poll sites and doing the counting and making sure that we include, we include them and kind of make sure that we're recognizing all that work. All right, let me go back to our list. So we're gonna move ahead down the list and move on to. I have Jarrett on the list, but I don't see here in the
What
attendees.
about Catherine? Is she Catherine Gow? Did we skip over her?
So I have a message from Tim that she is declining to
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
move up to a
Catherine,
panelist. I think we have the same.
Sorry, I didn't mean to call you out. Sorry.
No, not at all. Not at all. Thank you for raising that. The next name I have on the list after Jarrett, who I don't see among the attendees, is Jennifer Silverman. If you're here and willing to come up and share some thoughts, we can promote you up to the panel. After Jennifer, we have Jessica Rosario, so you don't see here. So the next name after Jennifer, so we'd like you to be ready, is Kathleen Collins, who I do see here in the attendees, and we have written testimony from Kathleen, so I know that she'll be hopefully willing to share a few thoughts. All right, do we want to move ahead to Kathleen? All right, Kathleen, I see you on screen. You want to go ahead and get started when you're ready.
Sure. Hi, good evening, everyone, and thank you for having this meeting. My name is Kathleen Collins, and I'm sure a lot of you already know me. With Downstate New York Adapt, I'm a co-coordinator with the Voter Engagement Working Group. Also, a board member of Disabled in Action in Metropolitan New York. And we've submitted testimony here tonight. It covers pretty much the same stuff that we talked about last year. I'm happy to report we've only gotten one comment concerning a bad experience at a polling site, but interestingly enough, it was from the president of Disabled in Action when she went to vote. Usually she has a good experience, but this one, when she voted in this election, she had an issue with a poll worker, that the poll worker was sitting behind the ballot marking device, and she kept saying, well, I'm only 5 feet, I'm more than 5 feet away. I don't know where she got this idea that 5 feet is sufficient, but she said, I'm 5 feet away and that should be sufficient. And Ms. Ryan kept pointing out to her, but you could probably see what I'm voting, and so you're interfering with my right to vote privately. And after a couple of rounds of going back and forth, it was finally resolved and the poll worker moved away. But I mean, luckily, the person that this happened to is someone who's aware of their rights as a disabled person. And she knows it, and she is able to advocate for her rights. Many people cannot advocate or don't know how to advocate. And so we just like to bring this to your attention. We have our letters, that we submit goes over the usual issues that we have and the things that we hope that we're working on to rectify. And I know Ariel Merkel has been doing a great job, and the people here with the Campaign Finance Board are super. And also Farine Griffith, she comes to many of our meetings and listens and, brings it back to the public advocate. So we do have wonderful connections, and we appreciate you all and all your hard work. But we'll just keep working on this, and I know this is a main focus, is poll worker training. And I know on the state level now, we have I believe, legislation that has been passed on that issue. So we'll be working on that on the state level too. And thank you. So just we submitted our testimony so you can see it there and learn more about what happened to Miss Ryan. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen, for sharing that testimony, for your advocacy and partnership over the years. Really, I think every time we you're here every time we call for folks to share their testimony. So just really appreciate you being with us.
I forgot one thing. I forgot
Yeah.
to identify myself. I'm a white woman wearing pink headphones, brown eyes, and wearing a pink no sleeve shirt and blue background. And it's a team effort. As you can see on our letter, we have many organizations on there, and we probably would have gotten more, except I was late in getting it out. So I appreciate all the organizations that signed on to all our letters. It's really is a team effort. And a shout out to Luke Messina. He's doing a great job over here helping us too. So, and Ariel, and Ali, the whole gang. And it's just a great group. So thank you. And we'd like to have something like this in every board of elections, because I noticed we have issues throughout the state. I don't know how we can work on that to get that for other counties, because that would be great. I don't know who I would reach out here to maybe try to start that on the other county levels. Does anybody can think about that and get back to me?
To have a similar body like the VAAC in other counties, you say?
Yes, it's really needed.
So it's that's it's an interesting idea. It's something that I think would since we this committee is exists in the city charter,
Right.
would be like a proposal for a change in state law to create bodies like that, which is certainly something to consider.
Okay, yeah, if anybody can help me push me in the right direction and show me how we did it here and how we can do it at other places, that would be great. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Look forward to that, to exploring that a little further.
Thank you.
So looking ahead at who's signed up to testify with us, the next name I see here on our list is Terrence Page. Terrence, if you're here, we will promote you up to the panel. And Kathleen, thank you again.
Terrence should be joining shortly.
All right.
Yes, I have not been scheduled to testify, but I would still like to compliment Ariel Merkel, Luke Messina, and my colleague Kathleen Collin as she speaks for the Greater New York Council of the Blind and other groups, but and what's going on. And we appreciate the continued work and getting the BMDs there on time and that they continue to work and function. And we're incredibly grateful. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Terrence. Thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for speaking up and just taking the time out to kind of be here. You're also one of those folks who kind of with us, month in, month out with us at the VAAC. And so appreciate your engagement and the time you spend with us. So I'll say we are at the end of the list of folks who've signed up to appear with us. I want to make sure to offer one opportunity for any members of the public who are here, with us on Zoom or viewing us on, view us on YouTube and want to jump in on Zoom to testify and share some thoughts with the committee. Otherwise, we may make this a short meeting tonight. It's a busy time of year for everyone. I'll give a few seconds for anyone who'd like to put a hand up in the Zoom and share a few thoughts with us. Well, I think one thing, it hopefully means that we have a short list of testifiers tonight is perhaps folks had a good experience this year. It also just kind of referring back to, the way I kind of opened the meeting, there's certainly is plenty of work to be done to make sure, even for these kind of unique elections, nearly unique elections that come along once every 20 years, that folks are paying attention and engaged and involved. We've got a big year of really critical elections coming, and certainly we'll be back here in this space talking about the work that we can all do together to make sure New Yorkers are prepared, are ready, and have access to all the information they need to cast an informed vote coming up in 2024, and in those many opportunities they will have to weigh in. From that special election in February for Congress in Queens and Long Island, presidential primary in April, that state and federal legislative primaries in June, and of course the November special election. I will pause, just look to Amy, to Chris and Danielle, members of the committee who are still with us, if you have any remarks to close us out.
Well, I would like to say something, although it shows that I'm mute. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay,
I see a
fine.
couple of nods
Just
also.
just a glitch in my computer. So I would be remiss. This is my second last VAAC hearing as the executive director of the Campaign Finance Board. It will likely be my last one, and so I just wanted to again congratulate our incredibly hardworking staff who does so much and really has expanded. I want to commend all of the VAAC members who have really contributed and helped move this work forward, and all of the people who come to testify and have really helped us. I would, we started this, back in 2011, and one of those early hearings, was, I think it lasted 4.5 hours long in person with the number of complaints that people had. And, again, I, think that we have really moved really far along in helping New Yorkers vote, having easier access to voting, both with early voting, language access, all of the work that our colleagues at the Board of Elections have done to really improve the voting process, and all of the work that our staff does every day to make voting easier and more accessible in New York City. And so we should all be proud of that. I am incredibly proud of the work that we've done over the past 12 years. And again, I will miss this, but, again, thank you all for all the work that you do every day.
Thank you, Amy, for that and for your support for this work over these years. I can, just thinking back to the conversations that, we had with that, back in 2010 when the Charter Revision Commission originally proposed bringing the Voter Assistance Commission over into the CFB. I think you immediately recognized the possibilities of that were open, that bringing that work into CFB could open up both for our work at the Campaign Finance Board, but also just the possibilities of really helping it grow and deliver real like tangible results for the voters in New York City. So you're a big part of why this work is here in the first place, and so thank you for that, for your support for all this over the years. Danielle, I see your hand raised and want to make sure I give you an opportunity
No, I just wanted to thank Amy for stepping up, because you really stepped up. And so I just wanted to say that that really means a lot. I also had a quick question. I don't know what the status is of a proposal to combine elections so that we're not going to the polls so many times in so many years that people have talked about on tonight's call. And so I just wondered if someone could please address the status of that.
For sure. Well, there's a bill that passed in the state legislature to combine, those elections onto the even years everywhere except for New York City, which I believe, and I see some folks who are in the meeting who may have whose knowledge of this may be better and more detailed than mine, and they can jump in and correct me if I say anything wrong. But that bill is, I believe, on the governor's desk for signature. We have, right, in our most recent voter analysis report, published a recommendation to move those city elections to even years here in New York City as well, and that which would similarly require state action. But as far as I understand, the bill to do that outside of New York City still awaits approval from the governor. Kathleen, I see your hand up.
Yes, I know it's right. It was outside of New York City. It was for several different types of elections, but some elections still are not covered by it, even outside of New York City. I don't know which, I don't have it right in front of me, but I know there are a few, which is important and concerning. But also right in New York City. And I know we would love to have it all when on even number years, because then it would be covered by HAVA, which is Help America Voting Act, that covers about people with disabilities being disenfranchised. It's a federal legislation. And so when it's on a year where there's not a federal election involved, it's hard to raise HAVA. But we still, do that as a matter of course, but you're better if you have the federal act behind you. So we really would love that. It would be very, it would be really helpful to us. And if you want, while Terrence is talking, I can look up the elections that aren't covered by it. If you want me.
Terrence, I see your hand raised.
Thank you, Kathleen. I believe it's schools and libraries are not covered. And it would also, if this bill gets signed, it would also bring in the John R. Lewis bill, which would encompass strict penalties towards discrimination and improprieties in voting. Thank you. And that was signed into law.
And I just mentioned that the New York City Bar Association is holding a program on Wednesday, January 17th, to discuss the issue of moving municipal elections in New York City to the even numbered years. If you are interested in that program, it's again on January 17th at 6 p.m. You should look at the New York City Bar Association's website or contact one of our staff members and they can send you more information about that. The New York City Bar website is nycbar.org.
Yes, thank you for lifting that up. They have a good panel they put together to talk about that issue of consolidating city elections in those even years. And so I urge folks, Danielle and anyone else who's interested in that issue to give that event a look.
Oh, if you want to just know, it says that this law does not apply, besides us here in the city, to the office of sheriff, county clerk, district attorney, family court judge, which is important to people, county court judge, surrogate court judge, or any offices with a 3-year term before January 1st, 2025. And then it also mentions something about town justices in odd number years if both such village and town last house, if such elections were in an odd number year prior to January 1st, 2025. That one, I don't have, that's a little bit of gobbledygook because maybe when I was dictating, it didn't come out right. But definitely for the district attorney and family court judge and chef, I mean, these are all important offices. So I don't understand why they got carved out, but they did.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Kathleen. I will just urge everyone also, for a little bit more information, please check out our latest edition of the voter analysis report. You can find it on our website, NYCCFB.info. I will also kind of leave a link to the report here in the chat for folks who can access it in the Zoom. Which I think contains a pretty good and detailed argument in favor of making that move, and the ways in which kind of consolidating elections have not only increased participation in cities that have done it and states that have done it, but have really helped to make that the voter pool in those local elections more inclusive and representative of the folks who live in those places. So we one last call for comments before closing it out tonight. With that, I will just give one last note of thanks to Chris, to Neil, Farain, to Amy, to the members of the staff, and everyone who's joined us tonight for the December meeting of the Voter Assistance Advisory Committee. I hope everyone has just a wonderful holiday season. Happy New Year, and we'll look forward to seeing you back in this space in a couple months in February. Good night, everyone.
Good night.